This is IceCreamGecko, and in today's video we're going to take a look at the Ben & Jerry's Moo-Phoria chocolate cookie dough. The fifth attempt of starting this video. Luckily I haven't broken the seal yet, so that's good. It's been a while since my last Ben & Jerry's review, and it's been a while since my last review full stop, but I'll try to be a bit more, well, regular in that regard going forward, at least until the end of this entire this proper nightmare of a year. But I thought, well, the Ben & Jerry's was on sale at Aldi for, I think, €4 something or €5. I don't know if that's good or not, because I haven't really been buying Ben & Jerry's a lot. Yeah, at least the seal is still intact. I've seen that some of these Ben & Jerry's ice creams make their way into people's homes without that plastic seal. I mean, it's all great when you don't have as much plastic around, but kind of like my hygiene a little bit, especially in these days. So I prefer a bit of plastic on the ice cream to at least give the illusion that this is proper and safe. Let's see if we can read anything like that of that in English. Are there English ingredients in there? Well, I don't know if they're English per se or Irish or something, but there is nothing written in English apart from the name of the ice cream itself and all that lovely descriptive literate content, one could say. Unilever really is going for the Moo-Phoria theme, as are many others. I don't know if I said this in this video attempt, but usually I'm not a big fan of these lighter ice creams, not really my thing, but let's see how this one is. We are going to take the top off now, and well, that looks decent, I would say. It smells very much like a chocolate ice cream. I would say I smell cocoa, but it also reminds me of the smell in the microbiology labs that I've been spending a few years ago. Maybe that's just dairy, or what happens to dairy when you foam it up. Maybe I shouldn't have studied biology. No, this is not against the ice cream. I want to make that clear. It's just, it reminds me of a microbiology lab, so please don't hate me for that. It's not bad, so it's, yeah. I don't know if you've ever been around an autoclave or something, but when you've got these agarose gels, those petri dishes with the, with the nutrient base on there, when that is being put through the autoclave, I think it really smells a lot like cocoa, like hot cocoa with a lot of water in there. So yeah, it's not really against the ice cream. It's just it pulls up a memory of mine that this is very much feeling like. So looks good though so far. I mean, we've got a certain concentration of the mix in right there, which is the chocolate cookie dough, because it's looking like regular cookie dough mixing with a bit of chocolate in there, which isn't the worst thing, but I thought they were darker. Anyways, which one are we going to taste? We're going to taste the left one, because there's too much right-wing stuff around at this point in time. Put this in the freezer and I'll be right back with you. So I'm back at the desk, and everything is not melted away, which is lovely. So I am back at the desk after a little mishap. We are not going to talk about that. And yeah, the other ice cream half is in the freezer to not melt away fully, because as you can see right here, when we look closely, you can see that there are small little black dots all over the place, very tiny. There is a right there at the very tip. There's a bigger one. They foam this ice cream up when they freeze it to give it a bit more volume and to decrease the, well, mass per milliliter of the ice cream, and to make it, what was it, 130 kilocalories per 100 milliliters. Great. I ditched the wrong half of the ice cream in order to read that properly, so we'll have to make some number up. That's something I'm very good at. But overall, it seems to be quite alright, so without further ado, I will actually taste it now, because color is fine, scent is fine, the first impression was good, and well, we've checked off the name, so let's check out the consistency and, well, take away a bit of that foam, because I'm afraid that this is going to cause a few problems when we have got everything leaking around the disc. So the first puddle is going in. So as you can see, I was a bit caught up in trying to it starts again, to shovel away the ice cream foam right here, because it is melting quite quickly on the edges. The very center of it, you can see it's kind of frosty, whitish in the middle. That's the ice forming from the moisture of the air on the ice cream itself. But all around, it's just turning into a big puddle, which isn't all that great, especially when you are thinking about eating a lower calorie ice cream pint. Let's not say lower calorie ice cream, because there's just a bit more air in there, but a lower calorie pint, I think that would be factually correct. But as you can see right here, it's all just, this is liquid foam, and it's not liquid itself, it's not like cream. Maybe you can see it better in this setup right here when I zoom in on the old spoon. This is, you can see those little bubbles quite well. Some of them are even popping if you watch closely. So it is not very pleasant to eat, that I must say right off the bat. I mean, it's not warm in this room. Let me check the temperature. We are at 22.7 degrees Celsius in this room. It is October, it is not warm at all. Now, if this was my room in the summer, this would have melted completely up to this point. But yeah, I guess that's the single biggest issue I have with these Moo-Phoria ice creams, that they melt away under your hands quite quickly. This is turning into a mess. Like, I should have really given it some practice with a proper Häagen-Dazs ice cream or a regular Ben & Jerry's spawn, because I'm completely overwhelmed right now. I don't know what's happening. 100% lost. Consistency of the ice cream itself. Now that I'm getting into the groove again, the consistency of the ice cream itself is good, and there is, yeah, I wouldn't say otherwise. As you can see right here, you can just, you know, scrape away quite easily. There are no particularly hard bits, no completely frozen bits, like uncomfortably frozen bits. Overall, it's got a very nice texture to it. But the way that this is melting kind of ruins that entire picture, because you have to get that very nice consistency, that texture that you enjoy from a pint ice cream like this, from these American style ice creams. You have to dig in. But when you're holding this in your hands, which I guess most of us are doing when we eat this kind of stuff, unless you are a complete, I don't know, and I've got one of these what are called, pint cozies or something like that, a sock for ice cream. Unless you've got one of those, preferably one with an ice pack inside, this is going to melt away quite quickly. And every time you push down on the thing in the middle, when you're trying to scrape out a bit of nicely textured ice cream, that kind of foamy slush is making its way to the top, and it's not that great. And when you compare the flavour of the foam ice cream, basically most of this in a few minutes, and the ice cream base itself when it is in prime consistency, there is quite a difference. The foam ice cream tastes like a very cheap, well, not hot cocoa, because you buy it at the shop in a little packet, but pre-made cocoa, pre-made cold hot chocolate. I don't know if you know what I mean with that, but Aldi always had these little cartons with a straw in there, and it was just like pre-made cocoa, and it was pretty nice, but it always tasted kind of cheap. But that's what we today I buy this because it tastes cheap like that, but it's very cheap to buy, you know. This one right here tastes very much like that, like cheap cocoa, but it's not cheap. It's supposed to be a premium ice cream, and a premium ice cream that's supposed to be better for you because apparently it's got less calories, unless it doesn't have less calories and there's just more air in there, and all that really makes it less enjoyable, because that's the vibe that I'm getting from this. Those cookie dough pieces right here, what's it called? Chocolate cookie dough pieces. Those are fine. Those taste like the regular cookie dough chunks with a bit of chocolate in there. That's actually quite nice. But the rest, when you have got it in a real world environment where you actually hold the bloody pint, it starts to get a bit, well, not so great after a not so long of a time. Because as you can see right here, I'm barely gripping it. You know, I've got the tips of my fingers are touching it, and it's still melting away quite quickly. And I've not got a huge halogen, I don't know, construction site light on top of this. This is a regular energy saving light, so there's not much heat coming from that. I don't know how the last one was of these Moo-Phoria ice creams that I've had. Maybe it was better. Maybe it's because I don't really enjoy, you know, chocolate ice cream all that much. But those two things are in combination. An airy ice cream, chocolatey themed, is I don't know. It's not a good thing. Tastes like cheap cocoa once it's warm, and basically you have to eat all the warm stuff to finally get to the cold stuff again, and that's yeah. I'm repeating myself for I think 10 minutes right now, but that's the core of it. Like the cookie dough thing is fine. Those mixings are great. I mean, they're regular cookie dough mixings with a bit of more chocolate in there. Now I've completely buried it. Great job. But the very basis of them, yeah, that doesn't really work out, which is unfortunate. So at last I tried to get rid of all of the foamy stuff and be left with just the regular core ice cream, and I'm going to have a little taste of that all on its own, because I like I said in the beginning, that's actually quite decent, so that one's going in. Yeah, like I said, this is actually quite fine. It's of course not like, you know, regular, more dense chocolate ice cream, but it tastes less of cheap cocoa and more like actual ice cream. Although you do feel that there is something not quite right with it. It still is not up to par with the regular ice cream, but I don't know. This has not been the review I hoped for it to be. I'm always skeptical with these low fat or less calorie ice creams, but this one isn't. When you pay like $5 or $6 for something like this, and it just tastes, it just, you know, runs through your hands almost, and tastes of cheap cocoa then from Aldi that they sell for, I don't know, 40 cents or something, then yeah, that really doesn't make for a great review. I can't really change that, I suppose. So I am done completely. So I've finished it. Well, I've finished one half of it. The other half is still in the freezer. And while I'm usually quite excited for the other half, I think I'm going to happily share that with my parents or sister or whoever wants it. This has not been what I hoped it would be, and I said that quite a few times, and I said what I didn't like about it quite a few times, but I think it doesn't do well. That brand name Ben & Jerry's, with all of its loyal followership, I cannot really count myself to one of those loyal followers, but I don't think it does it justice. I think Unilever should maybe rethink this particular product, because I mean, as you've seen, I'm not the smartest person on earth, but I'm not saying that, but it does melt very quickly. I was gripping it with my fingertips. I wasn't holding it in my hand like this all the time, and it just melted away very, very quickly. And while the taste of it overall. Well, let's say the taste of the ice cream base is all right when it's at a very low temperature, and when it's still it's in its natural intended state of being an actual ice cream, then it's fine. But as soon as it starts to melt and that foamy thing becomes just a weird kind of slush, cheap cocoa comparable to the Aldi tasting one, then you're not dealing with a premium product anymore, and I think that's not good. I really do not think that's good. The cookie dough pieces right in there with that bit of chocolate in there, those were quite nice actually. They taste like they always do. On this very occasion, they've got a bit more chocolate in there as well, which is decent. I had my tweezers right here, but I was so distressed by the bloody thing just melting away in my hands. I wasn't really feeling like picking through that and having all the rest just pour over my disc. So I didn't really go into detail with those. But they were quite alright. So yeah, as long as you keep it cold, as long as you are eating this ice cream in a, I don't know, industrial grade freezer, a freezing room at -10 degrees Celsius, you should be fine with the consistency. Otherwise it gets uncomfortable because it starts to be unpleasant, and it's certainly way too expensive to be the way it was. Not really pleasant at all, because that's what you buy Ben & Jerry's for. You buy to have a nice premium ice cream, something to enjoy, but this wasn't living up to that expectation at all. So on this occasion, I really cannot recommend this ice cream. I've heard many people talk critically about this very thing. Many people talk critically about the Moo-Phoria lineup in general, and they certainly have got ground to stand on in that regard. But don't want to dismiss the entire lineup because of this very ice cream. This one was just particularly badly executed, one could say. Something that I kind of found to be a bit misleading in color, I guess, is this very picture right here. Because I thought when I bought this and opened it up, I expected some from this picture. I mean, no one's gonna read what's inside of there on the ingredients list. Come on, no one's gonna do that. When you see this, you kind of expect, okay, you've got the chocolate ice cream base all around, and maybe we've got some cookie dough, maybe some vanilla things right here, because these cookie dough things, they are not being cut usually the same way as the ice cream is. So this is kind of blending in to the surface structure of that particular scoop. So it does look more like vanilla ice cream being mixed into there as blobs. And I wish that this was a bit different, because it did look more exciting than it in the end really was. So maybe something that's completely unnecessary from my part, but I just thought I would say that in the very end of this video, because overall I'm a bit disappointed. So yes, I cannot recommend this. Try at your own risk. Maybe you love cheap cocoa like I do, but then make sure that you don't pay $5 or $6 for it, because it's a bit much, isn't it? Anyways, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that the next ice cream is going to be better. I think it has got potential. It is banana split ice cream with a minion on there, so that can't be bad, right? Anyway, I'll see you next Sunday. Until then, have a good one. Goodbye.